1995, a simpler time to grow up. Our Gatorade was still in glass bottles, our Pogs were stacked, and the arcades were packed. Long gone are the days of placing your quarter on the cabinet to call next game, but if you lived through it, you know just how special those times were. It was this year that the greatest gift to bowling alleys and pizza parlors across the nation was at its all-time peak. Mortal Kombat 3 had arrived. But no longer was the greatest fighting franchise limited to the lobbies of the local cinema. This year, it was bound for the big screen. This made skeptics of people in the industry at the time, but more than 3 decades later, I'm here to tell you why the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie matters.
We pathetic fools, I've come for your souls.
Even as a 9-year-old kid, I knew that the video game adaptations up to that point were terrible representations. Nobody on the blacktop at school was talking about the Super Mario Bros. Movie or Double Dragon. Heck, even MK's main competition, Street Fighter, couldn't get the kids talking the year prior. But everything changed when a man named Larry Kasanoff secured the rights to bring the likes of Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Sub-Zero, and Scorpion into live action. And the timing could not have been more perfect. With the movie dropping stateside on August 18th, it served as a promotional behemoth to tee up the latest game, which was released just 7 weeks later on October 6th. The coordination of the marketing was nothing short of genius.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And they didn't stop there. They threw a live tour at us, they threw an animated tie-in movie, a plethora of merchandise, and even a Saturday morning cartoon.
Combat time! Combat time! Combat time! Combat time! Combat time!
Side note, I actually wore my copy out of The Journey Begins. I used to sit and watch those 3D rendered fight scenes in awe, thinking to myself, oh man, what if games got to looking this realistic in my lifetime? They also included an exclusive at the time behind-the-scenes featurette to the movie. It was basically a special feature before DVDs existed, and in a year where most people had yet to go online, this sort of footage wasn't easy to get. Like I was saying, genius marketing. I remember being in the 4th grade, poor and living in a small town in Kentucky when the movie premiered. We could never afford to go to the cinema, so I was green with envy the following Monday when literally every kid in class had witnessed it. And it hurt. It hurt bad. But I had to bide my time waiting for the VHS release by hearing them tell me over and over again how awesome it was. Mortal Kombat was the #1 film for 3 straight weekends, finally legitimizing video games as not just bankable in other mediums, but a formidable way to tell stories. I'm also going to give the hot take that I think it was the right decision to make it PG-13. Some fans at the time, and even today in hindsight, considered it pure sacrilege to take a gaming franchise aimed at adults with its signature over-the-top violence and fatality finishers and neuter it for a mass market. But they knew what they were doing. Everybody at my elementary school loved Mortal Kombat. When I went to the arcades, it was just as many 10-year-olds as there were teenagers and adults. Just like horror films, they knew who was consuming the product. And if they had kept the violence faithful to the games, a fraction of us would have gotten the okay from our parents to see it. Lest we forget, the games were public enemy #1 at the time with politicians, taking their grievances all the way to Congress. I was not allowed to own the console ports at home, and I played the arcades in secret. God bless free-range parenting.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
I'll go out on a limb and say that I think the movie overall was better without all the violence. Because I don't think every aspect of a certain medium translates to other mediums necessarily. Just look at the modern Mortal Kombat films. MK95 nailed what was important without the gore: story and characters. And they haven't been portrayed as faithfully since. They weren't tempted to bloat it with a million characters, even though they had multiple games under their belt with a new one to promote. They kept it lean and mean and foundational to the first game. We can't say that for the sequel. It told a story that was simple and familiar, yet loyal to the source material. It was easy to digest, so much so that even my parents loved the movie. When I was able to finally witness it in all of its glory on home video, my mom rented it for us so many times that it honestly made no sense not to just own it. And she was usually on the couch with us enjoying it too. I'm sure the inclusion of a recognizable soap star didn't hurt. My dad, who I had a hard time bonding with on anything, he took a liking to the movie to the point where he would often spout many of the memorable lines from the movie around the house. Let's zone in on these quotes for a moment. Helping to solidify the film in the cultural zeitgeist were lines such as, "Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole. It has begun. Your soul is mine," to name a few. It even brought techno into the mainstream. It blended club music with heavy metal. That soundtrack was my first introduction into bands that I still love to this day, like Typo Negative, Fear Factory, Napalm Death, and KMFDM. It was and is a juggernaut of a record, and I'd be remiss not to mention the iconic theme, Techno Syndrome by the Immortals. It not only led that soundtrack to becoming the highest selling album ever for the genre, it's synonymous with the franchise to the point that it still features in promo materials for the games and the new rebooted films. And yes, I am aware that it originally featured on the game tie-in soundtrack a year earlier. Sub-Zero Chinese Ninja Warrior fucking rips. You could even make that argument for the cast. Cary Tagawa was basically Shang Tsung in real life. Rest in peace. Trevor Goddard embodied Kano to the point they canonized his look and his Australian accent into the games. Also, rest in peace. Even when they took certain liberties, you kinda let it roll off your back. I mean, do these guys look Chinese and Japanese to you? I do remember vividly the first time I saw Raiden make his reveal. It was in that early scene where Liu Kang returns home to the temple. He's just hiding under his straw hat, calling him out in a weird voice before raising his head to reveal he's the fucking Highlander with long, glorious white locks. Maybe it's just my own personal bias, but I'm usually pretty cool when a film wants to put its own personal stamp on something just to be able to stand apart. Just so long as the overall presentation is still faithful. I want my movies to look like movies and my games to look like games. That's honestly my biggest gripe with the upcoming Mortal Kombat 2 film. The costumes and the quote-unquote sets are a little too faithful to the modern games. If I wanted the games, I would just play the games, personally. Mortal Kombat 95 was certainly a product of its time. The mid-90s was a transitional period for special effects. The film's early use of CGI, while wonky, does have its charm, and I feel it deserves a little slack. It might not work so well for Reptile, but I think its effect on things like Sub-Zero's freezing ability still look awesome. But, as it was a transitional period, they still had one foot firmly down on practical effects and set pieces. I'll never understand how some people think Goro looks silly. I think he's one of Tom Woodruff's crowning achievements. One part animatronic puppet, one part man in costume. It was a wonder to my young eyes then, and still is today. Who really cares if the lips don't always match the words coming from his mouth? Take me back, baby! Unlike the modern films, which rely heavily on green screens, MK95 utilized some incredible locations in Thailand that really brought the Shaolin Temple and Shang Tsung's island to life. Utilizing Californian studio lots, they created some amazing set pieces to complement the Thai exteriors. I think these are wonderfully highlighted in Shang Tsung's tower for the final fight, Scorpion's lair, and Goro's iconic dining hall. What the movie also did right was the amount of fan service. See, studios today, they're obsessed with bogging down their scripts with excessive amounts of member berries that to me just pull me out of the film. Again, I feel a movie should stand on its own. That's not to say a little bit can't be effective, and in the case of Mortal Kombat 95, they didn't overdo it. We got a cute little nod to Johnny Cage's MK2 fatality in that Scorpion fight, and Shang Tsung declaring Goro's victory against Art as a flawless victory, which always pissed me off because Art clearly got a jump kick in. Something absolutely paramount to the ensemble was the fact that they dared to cast an Asian actor as the lead, and also as the main villain. You gotta remember, this wasn't Golden Harvest out of Hong Kong. This was Hollywood, and this was something that just didn't happen in a pre-Jackie Chan importation America. Those suits had to have been sweating bullets, but if they wanted to be absolutely faithful to the games, they knew what the right move was. Asian cinema is amongst my most cherished, and while Mortal Kombat was trailblazing in its time, I still think the big studios have a lot of catching up to do even today. It's a shame that Robin Shou didn't become the next big thing, but he still opened major doors in my eyes.
I am the chosen one.
So how has it aged? Pretty good, I think. I feel some modern audiences might have a hard time getting around the primitive CGI, but at its core, there's something for everybody. It's got wonderfully choreographed fight scenes for fans of action, loads of humor for the lighthearted, and a tremendous amount of heart. Closing comments. I don't think that director Paul W.S. Anderson gets the credit that he deserves for what he was able to put together here. Because he's become the go-to game adaptation guy, he's not seen as a director's director, but more of an audience's director. While I don't think his whole output is good by any means, he's put a lot of butts in seats and sold a lot of popcorn. I have to imagine that for a filmmaker, that's much more rewarding than some lame Oscar from a bunch of old guys who didn't even watch your movie. With the upcoming Mortal Kombat 2 set to drop soon, I think it's a great opportunity for kids to discover the original. And if those kids actually care about physical media like I do, maybe they'll pick up the upcoming release from Arrow Video. Believe it or not, Mortal Kombat 95 is one of my all-time favorite movies. I get that it might not be high art, but I've seen this thing more than any other film on this planet. And I just think that there's something to be said for a good comfort food movie. If you dug this video, leave a like and consider subscribing. And let me know in the comments how you feel about Mortal Kombat 95 today. And if you were lucky enough to be around back then like I was, share your stories with me. Until next time. I want to give a special thanks to our YouTube members and our patrons. If you haven't joined yet and would like to, click the link below this video and gain access to hours of bonus content. What are you waiting for?